Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming, and what's probably going to be the final update for my Frostblade Slayer build. I've got to the point now where I'm happy with it, and to get it further it's going to take a lot of investment because I'm going to start pushing into max frenzy charges and things like that, and it gets just too expensive for this particular build because it still doesn't scout massively hard. But I've got it to a point when I'm really enjoying the build. What I'll do at the end of the video, instead of a map showcase, I'm going to go and run a Simulacrum. I'll just cut the highlights in and show them at the end of the video. This video is more just to purely go through the gear, the gems, the links, and then also how I crafted my gear where it's applicable, because it's questions I'm getting asked quite a lot. So let's start with the overall character. So let's go through the gem links first. I'll start with the main 6 link. So we have a Frostblade 2120. We've got an Ice Bite 2120. This adds quite a lot more damage because we have 8 frenzy charges. Got Awakened Added Cold. Once this gets to level 5, it gives you +1 to Frostblades. Increased crit damage, inspiration support, and then multi-strike. In terms of the auras, I've actually managed to fit quite a lot of auras in now because of an Enlighten and also a new belt that someone recommended I run. Their name is on the screen now. Thank you very much for the tips. So I've got Summon Skitterbots linked to Bone Chill. Bone Chill just adds more damage. I've got Enlighten support level 3, and then we've got a Flesh and Stone. We also have a Herald of Ice and then an Arctic Armor. So we've got pretty good defensive and offensive auras. We have a Flame Dash and Blood Rage in our helmet, and then just a Whirling Blades and faster attacks. In the shield, we've got more duration, Steel Skin, Automation. And then in the claw, we've got Assassin's Mark, Mark on Hit, and then Life Tap. And then we're also running an Enduring Cry for endurance charges on bosses. So I'll go through the gear. Helmet's pretty simple. You don't necessarily have to get +1 power charges. I'm probably overkill on crit anyway, but I had some currency to spend. So this is Heat Shiver. Gives massive damage to the build, has some resistances, and you can get +1 power charge, but it did cost me 4 divines. You'd be fine just with a normal Heat Shiver for like 8 chaos. The shield is one I purchased really early on in the league for about 40 chaos. I've looked for another one on trade. There isn't really similar available. I think there was one for 2 divines. The mods you need on your shield are you need big chance to avoid elemental ailments, big suppression, and big life. Anything else you can get on it is a bonus, but they're the 3 mandatory stats. If you have to craft this item yourself, your best way of doing it is buying a Fractured Suppression base, and then if you go to Harvest, you can use any of the elemental ones, Fire, Cold, and Lightning, because that has a chance to roll Avoid Elemental Ailments. It's obviously super cheap, so you can just keep spamming that until you get Elemental Ailments and Life, and then you craft whatever mod you want as an extra. I recommend Lacquered Bucklet as a base because it's got good movement speed and good evasion. If you're going to run a rare amulet, it wants to be as many attributes as you can stack into it, along with crit multi, life, and an open prefix for damage while leeching. The body armor was super cheap because the tree spits out body armor, so I bought a Fractured Evasion 6-link Syndicate Garb, and then I've essentially rolled it with Chaos Resistance essences until I've got Suppression and another Resistance, and then I've crafted Evasion. It's important not to have life on this because it means you can make the most of the 15% mastery on the tree, but if you did end up rolling a massive life roll, it's not the end of the world. The rings you've got Taming. You want to get as good a roll as you can and then put Turbulent Catalyst on it. The second ring, I've probably gone overkill with this. It's really not necessary. I wanted to try and get cold damage per frenzy charge, which is a Redeemer mod. I missed it. I ended up with just damage against chilled enemies, which is about the same damage as just crafted or rolled elemental damage with attacks. So I would ignore that mod. Strength was just a mod that rolled. You essentially want Chaos Resistance, max Ellie Resistances, and life. This ring could be a lot better. If you're running gear similar to mine, you'll definitely need non-channeling skills because you have very little mana. Down to the gloves, these are implicits of strike 1 additional target and inflict cold exposure. You want Chaos Resistance, damage while leeching, life, any other resistance, attack speed would be really nice, but I missed them on these gloves. Just a combination of resistances, speed, and life is what you're looking for. Nothing special. These shouldn't cost very much to craft at all. And again, the base was cheap because there's tons of fractured items available because of the Genesis tree. The boots could definitely be better. On these, you need chance to avoid elemental ailments, which you roll with loathing essences, and then you also need it as your implicit. This is just life, movement speed, resistances, these boots. So we'll go into the claw last. We'll go into the belt next. As I mentioned, someone recommended I use this belt, and it's insane for a build that relies on skitterbots. What it does is give you also a Scorching Skitterbot, which lowers resistances. It's about 17 percent resistances that it lowers. And you also get big increased effect of non-damaging ailments from skitterbots, so more shock and more of that scorch. And you also get mana reservation efficiency. It rolls up to 20, and if you use life catalysts on them, which are fertile, you can get it up to 24. So I basically looked for one with pretty decent increased effect of damaging ailments, so 1% away, and then maximum mana reservation efficiency of skills. This almost doubles your damage. If you untick skitterbots in POB when you've got this belt equipped, the drop is insane. So we'll go on to the claw next. This is one I get called out on a lot. I think it's a really good option for the build. First question I get is, you've only got cold damage on it. It's very, very minimal LED DPS. Yes, it is, but elemental penetration, if you plug it into POB, is more than T1 flat lightning damage or T1 flat fire damage. Fizz does nothing because we don't have any other physical damage in the build, and we're not doing any extra conversion. So I think this, for something that doesn't cost tons and tons of money, is the best option. So we've got as big a cold damage as you can get, massive attack speed, massive crit chance, and then we've got hits can't be evaded and elemental penetration. Hits can't be evaded is really important because we don't want to have to worry about accuracy, precision, and things like that. And then you're going to harvest enchant the claw. You can either do attack speed or crit chance. I probably should have done attack speed because I'm pretty sure I'm crit capped comfortably in most situations. So how are you going to go about crafting this claw? It is not mega expensive. So what you are going to need is a cold damage T2 or higher fractured base. I would recommend the Gemini claw because the mana on hit feels really nice when you're running a really low mana pool. If they're not available, an Imperial claw or a Noble claw work really well also. Once you've got your fractured cold damage, you also need to make sure the claw is rare. So if it's a magic, just apply a Regal Orb to it to get it to magic. What we're then doing is we are using Essences of Zeal to guarantee 30% attack speed. So go Essences, we'll go Zeal. And what we're looking for is critical strike chance. And we want tier 1. That's what we want. That's really all we need. We get our attack speed from our essence, we've already got our cold damage, and we need our crit chance. What we also need is one open prefix and one open suffix. If you do end up with 3 suffixes, 2 prefixes, or 3 prefixes, 2 suffixes, you can try and null off the extra mod. It's definitely worth it for like 3 or 4 C before you start rolling again. What you're looking for at the end of it is a claw with 4 mods on it. You're going to have a prefix because it's realistically going to roll 4 mods. I don't think you can roll 3. You're going to be looking for crit chance, attack speed, cold damage, and then a random prefix. So what I've set up in Craft of Exile here is I want T1 crit, I want an open prefix, and I want an open suffix. So we're just going to go and we're going to craft 1,000 items here. It's going to run through and craft the items. So it's saying it's about a 1 in 150 chance to get this craft. If we went back, however, and removed these, and then we start the simulation again, you can see it's got 234 items, so 1 in 43. Some of these will have 6 mods, but some will have 5. So these have got 6. Go down here, this one here has got 5. It's got a suffix we don't want. You'd have to try and null off this suffix. Prefix doesn't matter at all because we're going to get rid of that anyway. So this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a claw with any prefix, the 2 suffixes you want, and then your fractured cold damage. From here, you're going to go and buy a Bristle Matron Beast from trade. It might take you 2 or 3 attempts to hit the mod you need, but it's cheaper than the other option, which is a 2 Divine Benchcraft. You're basically going to get the beast, use it in Harvest. It's either going to give you a suffix craft or a prefix craft. We need the prefix one. There's only one it can put on there, which is suffixes cannot be changed. If it ends up putting a suffix one on there, like prefixes cannot be changed, cannot roll attack mods, just go and scour it off, buy another beast, and go again. You'd have to miss 5 times in a row for this to actually start equaling the cost of the crafting bench. So once you've done that, you're going to have this suffixes cannot be changed modifier on your claw. You're then literally just going to scour it. This then gives you your cold damage, attack speed, and crit chance. You're then going to need to spend 2 divines on, can have 3 crafting modifiers. Then you're going to craft 2 prefixes, which is elemental penetration. And then we're going to craft hits cannot be evaded. And you've got your claw. You're then going to quality it up, go to harvest, and either put crit chance or attack speed quality on it. So we'll nip into the passive tree. I'm not going to go over any of the nodes because you can look at that in the POB. This probably isn't optimal. I'm not sure about the shield nodes and I'm not sure about these nodes, but I can't path to another cluster jewel. I don't need more crit, so kind of going for attack speed and damage made more sense. One option would be to maybe look to see if there's some decent impossible escape jewels to put in, but each jewel we add is about 6% more damage. So you do need really for this to give you 4-5% per node, and it's quite hard to find that on the tree. So this is kind of what I've gone with. In terms of your rare jewels, you want double crit multi, life, and then some sort of other damage mod, whether it's damage, attack speed. You could look for triple crit multi in life, but they're really, really expensive. They're probably like 4 to 5 divines a jewel if you can find them. We're running a lethal pride up here, which has got double damage and intimidate on it. We are running a light of meaning because this is just a really, really easy way to get tons of crit into the build, and they're about 40 chaos. And that's kind of it for the jewels. In terms of the clusters, these are probably not optimal. They're just what I went for at the time. So this was bought a long time ago. It's cheap. I could definitely get a better one. But we've got Feed the Fury, which gives me Life Leech. And then we got Smite the Weak, which gives us 40% attack damage because we're going to maim enemies. Calamitous, I don't take. The second cluster jewel, I probably wouldn't go with this because it's finicky to get it working because you're going to need lightning damage on one of your items. I bought this because I essentially needed resistances. I thought, you know what, I'll get Storm Rider as well because it gives me 20% increased damage and it gives me much easier power charge generation when I'm mapping. I don't have to worry about, you know, killing a rare monster to get power charge. You'd be much better off with a attack cluster again. Down here, it will be more damage. So the only thing to point out where there's been changes is this mastery here. So I've dropped the chance to invert resistances because my Skitterbots lowers resistances. I also inflict cold exposure. My Grafts apply covered in frost. So for most enemies, I'm actually going to be giving them resistances every 4th or 5th, 6th hit, whatever it works out at now. Because I've got exposure on my gloves, this is much better. It's a consistent 5 to 6% more damage. Just realized I didn't go through the Grafts, so we'll quickly do that. Grafts I don't think are that great. I think the problem being you can't roll 2 of the damage modifiers as prefixes. If you go onto Path of Building, there's loads and loads of different prefixes. There's like added cold damage, penetrate cold resistance, strike 1 additional enemy. But I've searched on trade for a combination of 2 of any of them and nothing exists. So it looks like you can only roll 1 damage mod and the other 3 are all blood or graft related. So it doesn't make a massive difference what you run. If you can get something with increased graft blood gained, because it's just going to mean you get more and you can use the tree more. So the 2 I've gone for a non-vile strike skills target 1 additional enemy for better clear, and it saves me spending a ton of currency to push this one up to +2. And then we've just got as big cold damage as I could get, basically. That's it. This one also happened to come with the graft has a chance to cover enemies in frost. So that's all the gear, the skill tree, and the gems. But this build, which is the way I build most of my builds, I have a baseline POB that I follow. And then it really depends on what items are available to how I actually continue the build, because this build may not work for you if you get loads of gear because you might be missing certain aspects. So I'm just going to go through the really important things that you need. First thing you're going to need is definitely maximum mana reservation efficiency belt with 20% quality on it. You are going to need to run an Enlighten level 3, and that should cover you for your mana cost. You are going to have not much mana. We've got 49. You definitely want -7 to total mana cost of skills. The reason being, your claw comes with 14 mana on hit. This puts your Frostblades down to 14. So even if you do run out of mana, your default attack will give you 14 mana. You then back Frostblade in. But I haven't heard him once say, I don't have enough mana, apart from when I'm spamming Whirling Blades. Resistances can be hard to get capped, but because gear is so cheap from the tree, you shouldn't have a problem either buying from trade or getting a really, really juicy fractured base. Attributes, certainly intelligence. I wouldn't say they're a problem. You only need about 121 intelligence. But if you want to avoid taking it on the tree, you want to get it all into your amulet. So here we've got 71 intelligence. We've got big all attributes, which we've got fractured, put some attribute catalyst on it, and then rolled it. The strength I don't need. We've got tons of strength. This is just how the item rolled. I basically rolled this with crit multi essences. The other important thing is with taming, for each ailment on an enemy, you don't have to inflict it. You get 39% increased damage. The only one you're not going to apply through Skitterbots or yourself naturally is Ignite. And you're going to want to do that by getting it on your gloves. Ignite and Scorch, it's normally one or the other, but Scorch is from the skitter bot, so we can still ignite the enemy. Doesn't do any damage, but it gives us that 39% increased damage. So you want fire damage either on your gloves, amulet, or a ring. And that's kind of it. Just make sure you're armament immune. Make sure you're resist capped. If you're not armament immune, this belt is going to wreck you because it also affects you, the skitterbot aura. So you're going to get shocked. You're going to get scorched. You're going to get chilled. It's not going to be a nice time. So you have to be armament immune with this belt. That's it for the video. Probably the last one for the league start. My league start's pretty complete other than doing feared, which if I can be bothered, I'll go and farm all the bits and complete it. It won't have a problem completing the feared. So let's go and run a simulacrum. I'll put the highlights in the outro. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.
Do you not wonder what tugs at the strings of fate? What satisfying bliss and beckons you to fall? My agent of chaos. You shall serve me whether you like it or not.